Hello, dear listeners. I'm your host, Genevieve Hopkins, and welcome to episode 16 of the Wheel and Cross podcast. Swooping season has begun. It is such a uniquely Australian experience, slightly ridiculous and rather hilarious, although for some people it is a genuinely traumatic and anxiety-inducing season. At this time of year, magpies all over Australia are laying eggs and starting to raise their hatchlings. Breeding males become highly protective of their nests, and some take their job very seriously. They defend their nests by relentlessly swooping anything they view as a threat to their eggs and hatchlings, and for some magpies, this includes humans. In honour of the indomitable magpie, and this quintessentially Australian aspect of spring, this week's episode dives into the swooping season and the Australian magpie. This podcast is free, but if you like my work and would like to support me so that I can continue doing it, please consider a paid subscription on the Wheel and Cross Substack page, www.wheelandcross.substack.com. If that's not possible, and you enjoy this podcast, I would really appreciate your reviews on any of the podcasting platforms you use. Feel free to share this podcast and leave comments on the podcast page. Welcome to episode 16 of the Wheel and Cross podcast, Magpies and the Swooping Season. As always, I would like to acknowledge the custodians of these lands on which I work and live in Australia's capital region, the lands of the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people, and I pay my deep respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, and to all First Nations across Australia. The Australian magpie, Gymnorrhina tibicen, is a black and white passerine, perching rather than paddling bird. They were originally considered to be three separate species due to differences in their colour patterns and geographical spread, but are now recognised as one species with 9 subspecies. European colonisers named these black and white birds after their own black and white coloured magpie. And though they are distinctly different species, the English magpie is part of the corvid family, same as crows, the name stuck. Magpies have a long breeding season, which varies in different parts of the country. In the northern regions of Australia, they will breed in the cool season between June and September. But in the cooler southern regions, they won't commence breeding until August or September and may continue until January in some alpine areas. During the breeding season, from the time the eggs hatch to when their young leave the nest, the male magpie becomes highly protective of their nest and will fearlessly dive bomb and harass any animal they consider to be a threat, including humans. They are strategic in their attacks, using the sun and targeting blind spots behind their victims' heads. Many will only swoop and click their beaks to instill fear as they whoosh down and veer off with lightning speed. But some are so vicious that they draw blood and cause lacerations. There have even been deaths from people trying to escape or being startled by swooping magpies. Only a relatively small number of magpies will attack humans, but the ones that do will generally continue to do so during every breeding season throughout their lives. Local councils all over Australia are well prepared for the swooping season. They often erect signs in areas known to be the territory of human or dog-aggressive swooping magpies. Magpies can recognise up to 100 different human faces and may swoop those they do not recognise or people they view as threats. The best way to avoid being swooped is to make friends with magpies in your local area, or by avoiding the area if possible, until their offspring have left the nest, usually 6 weeks from hatching. Feeding magpies is not recommended, as they can become too dependent on humans for easy feed, and what they are usually fed, mince or dog kibble, is not good for their health. If you need to enter a swooping magpie's territory, wear a broad-brimmed hat or carry an umbrella, and if you're riding a bike, get off your bike and walk so you don't risk having an accident. I have the lovely good fortune of knowing children's book writer Nicole Godwin and illustrator Susanna Crisp, who have teamed up for the CSIRO publication of Swoop, a children's book that uses humour and beautiful illustrations to explain why magpies swoop and our fascination with them. Not only do swooping magpies make it into children's books and even the daily news throughout September, but they've also made it into the world-famous Australian children's TV show, Bluey. In Season 3, Episode 8, Curry Quest, Bingo and her dad are swooped at the park by a local magpie while they are on their way to a friend's house for a curry swap. In the end, they find a way to make it back unscathed. Although notorious for their swooping, magpies are also known for their complex and melodious calls, their humorous and charming antics, their sociability, their curiosity, and their intelligence. They are one of the most successful Australian animals for adapting to the urban environment and human cohabitation. Magpies can form strong bonds with humans. These bonds can be so strong that some say they can heal each other, like the relationship between a magpie called Penguin and the Bloom family, which has been documented in several books, documentaries, newsreels, and even adapted into an Academy Award-nominated film starring Australian actors Naomi Watts and Jackie Weaver. One of those books is called Penguin Bloom, the odd little bird who saved a family. According to publisher HarperCollins, Penguin Bloom is an extraordinary true story of recovery, hope, and courage, as one injured bird and her human family learn to heal and celebrate life. Featuring the gorgeous photography of Cameron Bloom and a captivating narrative by New York Times best-selling author of the Blue Day book, Bradley Trevor Grieve. Australia's First Nations people have many dreaming stories about the magpie. The following story, retold by Uncle David Tournier from the Australian Sacred Journeys website, is from the Wathaurong people of Victoria. The Noongar people of Western Australia also tell this story. Long time before today, the sky covered the earth, making everyone crawl around in the dark. The magpies, being proud and industrious, gathered and worked to raise the sky so everyone could move about freely. They gathered some long sticks, and fighting hard they lifted the sky up. They placed the long sticks on small and big rocks. They fought to lift the sky even higher. The sky split open, showing the beauty of the first sunrise. They were so overjoyed to see the light and feel the warmth of the sun's heat, they burst into song. As they sang, the blanket of darkness broke and drifted away like clouds. To this day, the magpies greet the sunrise with their joyful song. The magpie, called Dirrawun by the Dharawal people of the Sydney Basin, was an important figure in their dreaming stories and folklore. This story is freely available on the internet through dharawalstories.com, a website created by Dharawal elder, knowledge holder and botanist Auntie Fran Bodkin. Dirunan and Dirun, the Currawongs and the Magpies. A very, very long time ago, Warnanan, the people of the Raven, became worried. There had not been any rain from the time of the blooming of the Bukerikin, the green wattle, Acacia decurrens, which flowers at the start of spring, to the time of the blooming of the Kerwan, blackthorn or sweet Berseria, Berseria spinosa, which flowers in midsummer. The creeks and rivers were drying up, and even some of the deepest waterholes had become shallow enough for children to walk across, and at night the earth sang a song of thirst, pleading for water to soothe her parched skin. Oftentimes, the people of the Raven would look at the skies, watching and hoping that the cloud spirits would come and deliver their burden of rain, but the skies remained blue and cloudless. The people of the Raven went to Widajidabin, the people of the Lyrebird, to seek their advice, but found that they too were suffering from a lack of rain, although their sweet water came from the earth herself, and not from the skies like other people's. The people of the Lyrebird were kind to the people of the Raven, and invited them to take as much sweet water as they needed. The people of the Raven asked why the people of the Lyrebird were so kind when other peoples had refused to help them. The people of the Lyrebird replied that a long, long time ago, the people of the Raven had provided their black feathered cloaks to the children of the Mulgul, the black swan, and providing the sweet water was repayment of a kin debt. Some of the clans of the people of the Raven heard this and wondered. Dirunan, the Currawong clan, and Diruwan, the Magpie clan, called a meeting to discuss how the people of the Raven had saved them during the time of great cold, and how that kin debt had never been repaid. Thus it was decided that the Currawong clan would seek the cloud spirits, while the Magpie clan would sing a particular song that would guide the Currawong clan back to their homelands. After many adventures, the Currawong clan found the cloud spirits frolicking on top of a high mountain. With some trepidation, they climbed the mountain and explained to the cloud spirits that the earth was thirsting for rain, and unless they came, many people would die. The cloud spirits replied that they were having too much fun and refused to follow the Currawongs. One of the Currawong clan, a tall, strong warrior, captured one of the cloud spirits in a net woven by the women of his clan. He threw the ends of the net down to the other members of his clan, and together they forced the cloud spirit to travel towards their homelands. Despite the grumblings of the cloud spirit, the Currawong clan were able to hear the special song of the Magpie clan, which guided their path home. The other cloud spirits followed the imprisoned cloud spirit out of curiosity, and when they saw how parched the earth was, they dropped their rain on the thirsty earth. Soon the rivers and creeks began to run again, and the waterholes filled up. The earth sang a song of happiness as the rain fell, and the peoples of the Raven danced in the falling rain. That is why, when the Currawongs fly high in the sky, and the Magpies sing their special song, rain always follows. I hope you enjoyed this brief dive into the world of magpies in the swooping season. Next week, as the spring equinox approaches, we will explore spring equinox traditions from Eastern Europe, including drowning the Moranna. In the meantime, I offer you a fun fact about magpies. A group of magpies is known as a parliament. See you next week for episode 17, Spring Equinox Traditions of Eastern Europe.